Foldable iPad.
Multiple people are talking about it.
It's gonna be a big device, that's for sure.
It has to be an OLED panel, right? Because it's like a singular thing.
The rumor is they're working on a huge device, 18.8 inches.
What is the actual use case?
Folds in half, it's as big as an iPad.
But do you think that this could replace the MacBook or no?
I don't see that much of a problem with that. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the PhoneArena Show, and today we're gonna talk about something extremely curious, very interesting. The upcoming foldable iPad and foldable iPhone. Imagine this.
It's the foldable episode today.
It's the foldable Apple episode.
Yeah.
Today, we have been hearing about Apple's foldable efforts, which are, strictly undercover for now, and will be at least for the next, maybe couple of years.
It seems so, yeah.
Yeah, and we've been hearing little rumors, speculations here and there, and we have some new ones. Mark Gurman is talking about that in the latest newsletter. We also have other reports that we're gonna discuss today, but the point is, we have fresh information on the foldable iPad and the foldable, or will it be a foldable iPad? Is it going to be like a foldable Mac iPad? Weird monstrosity, we don't know.
We're yet to see. Yeah.
We're yet to see, and we also have the foldable iPhone, which we're also yet to see what it's going to be. But which one do you want us to start with?
Well, I think we should just start by saying that the foldable Apple effort is finally on track. Multiple people are talking about it, and it seems to be legit. We are not sure about the details, but we know the general vector, the general direction of development. So maybe let's start with the product that everyone is was kind of expecting to be the first foldable Apple device, the foldable iPad. It now turns out it might not actually be the first foldable Apple device. Apple might actually first introduce the foldable iPhone, but let's hear about this iPad because it's so different from the current designs. It's so interesting. So what's it gonna be like? What have you learned about it?
Okay, so we know a bunch of different, I was going to say facts, but they're anything but facts. So it's going to be a big device, that's for sure. And the current rumors, at least coming from Mark Gurman, is that it's going to resemble something like, imagine two iPads next to each other. So it's not, apparently, not going to be like a normal iPad.
Right.
Like the current size, which would be like the Air or the Pro, doesn't matter, that folds in half, and it's easier to bring about with you. Instead, the rumor is they're working on a huge device, something like two iPads next to each other, but one device, resulting in a screen size of 18.8 inches. It's going to be pretty big. And it's obviously going to fold right down the middle. And it seems like Apple's been tinkering with this design for a few years now. And they're set to, maybe have sorted out some of the bigger issues. But obviously there are a lot of issues with such a design, moving parts, hinges, creases right down the middle.
And obviously, since it's going to be like such a big foldable design, it has to be an OLED panel, right? Because it's like a singular thing. So it has to be, if it folds, it has to be an OLED panel. So it's going to be expensive also, right?
It's going to be, and knowing it's got to be expensive. And knowing Apple, it's got to be even more expensive than that. But it coincides very well with the timeline that we talked about last time, the leaked Apple display technology timeline, which had this exactly 18.8 inch OLED iPad Mac something coming out, and the timeline put it for 2028, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, so yeah, it's a few years out in the future.
Yeah. And so it seems that Apple is also, they're said to be very focused on eliminating the crease
Right.
where the the two halves, fold and unfold. And apparently they're almost there. Like the report, at least from Gurman, says that they're like 90. He makes it sound like they're 95% there at eliminating the crease,
Right.
which sounds important to me because if that is going to be, more of an iPad type of device, it's obviously going to be touchscreen, and it's obviously going to work with Apple Pencil.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So you're imagining this like one big sheet where you can draw,
Yeah.
and that would be pretty good for artists, architects, and people who work on it. But what is the actual use case? So I imagine this thing will like unfold to a flat design. I doubt that it would go further than that into a 360 design like the Lenovo Yoga designs, because yeah, how are you gonna do? We have not seen a hinge with a foldable screen like
No,
that.
yeah.
It has to be two separate parts, and here we're learning that it's gonna be like one singular piece.
Yeah.
So what is the use case? Is it gonna be like a giant monitor, or how
Who
do you
knows?
imagine
Like
it? Yeah.
my tagline for this upcoming product, the foldable iPad Mac, is I have no idea. Because obviously you wanna. It's a mobile device.
Right.
It folds in half. It's as big as an iPad. And
You can
now,
carry it in a backpack.
yeah, you can carry it in a backpack. You can maybe also carry it in like a smaller even messenger bag, laptop bag, anything like that. And so it's fairly portable. But obviously, if it opens up to an even larger display, you want to use that.
Right.
So I would imagine, and you mentioned it, like there must be some sort of way where you prop it up. Is it going to be a kickstand? Is it going to be a case with a kickstand? Is it going to be a stand? Who knows?
Yeah, like I imagine it in many ways. This is just like the next generation Apple laptop, MacBook, because it's essentially that's what you get. It's like you get two 13-inch devices, and instead of a keyboard, you just have another display here.
Yeah, I'm
so,
pretty sure you'll be able to use it like that as well. Like just
So, yeah.
put it on the.
just put it, and the hinge should be sturdy enough to keep it at an angle, and you're just gonna use it like a regular laptop, and it's gonna be roughly the same size as a 13-inch MacBook Air.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, in many ways it's gonna be just like the laptop redefined, but also you'll be able to unfold it and use it as a monitor. And
Yeah.
that's probably gonna be one of the selling points, just watching movies.
For
Or,
sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have such a huge canvas. All of a sudden, you want to use it for, I don't know, gaming, for watching video, for anything, really.
Yeah, but it's strange to me that currently the rumor for this is that it's gonna be like an iPad device, because for me this looks and sounds a lot like a MacBook, the MacBook of the future. It sounds more like a MacBook to me than an iPad, because the idea of the iPad is just to be able to use it in your hands without
Yeah.
a stand, like just a big screen, like a big pad, a tablet.
Right.
And this, like the whole use case for this is much more like a MacBook, right? At least from what I understand.
It sounds so, and some people are even comparing it because there are products like that out there already,
Yeah,
like dual screens.
dual screens, right?
And one of them, and Gurman compares this product to, is the Lenovo Yoga Book 9,
Right.
which is two parts, 13-inch screens with a hinge
Yeah.
between. So it's not a foldable OLED display, but it's two sides with fairly thin bezels and then the hinge. And so obviously you have two touch screens that you operate, and that is supposed to be like a laptop. And so, yeah, you would imagine that this is the use case there. I don't see that much of a problem with that, to be honest, because even today, the iPad on-screen keyboard, with some getting used to, is fairly decent to type on. It's not terrible
Yeah.
experience.
But like if you imagine being in a pro setting, and I'm gonna argue a bit with you here. In a pro setting, you need like a tactile keyboard. Then gamers, they love their like mechanical keyboards, and especially for fast typing, you need the keys. You need that tactile feel. So I imagine it wouldn't be just the perfect experience. So it's gonna be like a hybrid, a new type of product, a hybrid product. But it will take some getting used to if you're using it like just a regular MacBook.
Yeah. A lot of unknowns. A lot of unknowns here. Who knows? Maybe that is some sort of a portable desktop hybrid where you can dock it somehow on your desk, and you have a stand there, and it connects to your physical keyboard, and you have this fairly large display that you can comfortably work on. And then when you're out and about at the coffee shop or whatever, you just put it in laptop mode, and then maybe the on-screen keyboard is going to be good enough.
And Apple will call it Apple Dex.
Maybe, yeah. Such a terrible idea.
So what's going to be the software on it? What are your expectations?
And nobody knows right now.
Right.
So Gurman says that it's not exactly iPad OS, not exactly Mac OS.
Okay.
Currently, most people seem to, converge on the idea that it's going to be mostly an iPad OS type of product. But the speculation here is, and it's a pretty huge speculation, that iPad OS is going to advance to a point that it's going to be able to run Mac OS applications.
Right.
And again, we're talking about 2028. So,
yeah, and we've been hearing the same thing about the Mac OS from the other side of you, that it's gonna support touch input at a particular point in time. So there is some divergence happening.
And again, on that timeline, we saw that it has the MacBook Pros getting touchscreens.
Right. Yeah.
So and that's going to be needed because you need Mac OS to be optimized for touch, as you mentioned a while ago, so that you can actually run its applications on iPad as well.
Yeah.
They need the touch interface to be fixed on there. So yeah, it makes sense both for iPad OS to then be able to run Mac OS apps simultaneously. It makes sense that Mac OS gets a touchscreen, because if the Mac OS gets a touchscreen, it means that Mac OS applications and everything around it, the user interface is going to be optimized at that point for touch interfaces.
Yeah, which is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. The foldable iPad is what everyone is calling it. So not the foldable MacBook. But do you think that this could replace the MacBook or no?
For the time being, no chance in hell. Like, even if this product is more than like 3 years, at least, into the future, it's such a huge ecosystem of users using Mac, using iPads in certain ways, and this seems like a fairly disruptive device. So it's gonna take a lot of time before you remove the MacBooks from those users and those professionals' hands.
And I think that Apple will kind of try, and at least that's what we've seen with the iPad, keep these categories a little bit different, a little bit differentiated, so it can sell you both the iPad, even if it's a foldable iPad, and the MacBook, and maybe something in between.
And at the same time, it makes sense, though, right? Because if they have it dedicated, like you have your dedicated tablet and your dedicated laptop, it is true that both form factors can then be optimized to deliver the best experience. Because my foldable phone right now, like pretty much all other current foldable phones, has a fairly big camera bump on the back.
Right. Yeah.
And so it supports stylus input, like some other foldable phones out there. And I wonder, should I get the stylus? I like that. I want to be able to draw, type, to jot down notes or whatever. But I decided, you know what, it doesn't make sense, because when you put this thing on the table, it makes like that on the table because of the camera bump, and there's no way around that.
Right, yeah.
So it needs the camera bump because it's a phone, and I would prioritize having the camera bump because I want a pretty dope camera.
Yeah.
But I cannot use it as a tablet to write notes on. So here we go. It's one single form factor. If it could do it all, that would be perfect, but it cannot.
Right.
Yeah, so to an extent makes sense, is what I'm saying. If you put like this big of a camera bump on the iPad, it's no longer be able to
Right.
to write notes on.
You lose some of the functionality.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, what else about the foldable iPad? Do we have anything else on it, really, aside from not knowing pretty much anything? Yeah, sadly, it's far away. Yeah, 2028, obviously way down the line. Yeah, and as you mentioned, the rumor is that they first started working on this product, the foldable iPad thingy. It now seems like the foldable iPhone is closer to release, actually.
And this is where things get really spicy and interesting, because everybody thought, okay, the foldable iPhone is not anywhere close. We have the Galaxy phones. We now have a Google Pixel Fold phones. All those companies have it, only Apple doesn't. It turns out there are a few reports saying that Apple has been working and finalized some form of internal design for the iPhone, the foldable iPhone, in the summer of this year. So there is some advancement in that project. And here's where it gets interesting. So the big report, the big bombshell report about the foldable iPhone comes from a publication called The Information, which is a well-respected publication, and they have some sources claiming that this will be a clamshell-style flip iPhone.
Okay.
And it's gonna, more recent details say it's gonna unfold to a size slightly bigger than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Bigger, we don't know how much bigger. But then another very recent report contradicts this, and it comes from a display panel analyst, Ross Young, who claims that this would actually be a book-style foldable like the Galaxy Fold. So we have these two contradicting sources, but it just seems at the moment there's more evidence that Apple is going with that clamshell design, the flip-style iPhone.
Yeah.
That's what everybody seems to agree on, and we have this outlier of a report about a book-style foldable. Where they do agree, though, is that it is coming in 2026, the earliest. And the foldable iPad is expected to arrive in 2028. So this means that this project is kind of gotten higher priority.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't arrive in 2026, there is that possibility. Chances are that it will land in 2027. So still a bit earlier than the foldable iPad. So this is what we know about the foldable iPhone. We're hearing that Apple is also shifting focus back from software, from AI to design, to hardware design, to devices that look different, exciting devices, and that is definitely a foldable iPhone, also a slim iPhone. We're going to talk about that as well. But that is kind of what we know about this allegedly foldable, possibly flip-style iPhone. That's pretty much...
Which is interesting because what they say is that, so we know that, and you mentioned the iPhone Air or the iPhone Slim. It's very much expected to come out 2025. Possibly replacing the iPhone 17 Plus.
Right,
and the major distinguishing feature of this product is going to be its slimness.
Right.
So current iPhones are about 8.3 millimeters thick. And I did some research.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's extremely comprehensive research, which says that the iPhone 6. So I go, okay, what was the thinnest iPhone ever? And the thinnest iPhone ever was, of course, the iPhone 6 at 6.9 millimeters.
All right.
Now, that I think is key here, because if Apple is working on a foldable iPhone, which it is, just the question is whether and when it might release one. So they gotta work on, on slimming down the product, because current iPhones are too thick. You cannot make a foldable iPhone with the current design. So, and we know that with the new silicon carbon batteries, the ultra thin iPads, which was the current Pro, is 5.4 millimeters thin, extremely thin designs. It's working towards slimming down the products, because it's got to be able to make them as slim as possible to be able to come up with a foldable, which apparently, and we all know for Apple, slimness is a key factor to a successful product. So they want to get this right. So even the iPhone 6, which was the thinnest iPhone ever at 6.9 millimeters, would not be thin enough, I believe.
Right, yeah.
So I think it's going to be quite, how would I put it, anticlimactic if the iPhone Slim is about the thickness of an iPhone 6, around 6-something, 7 millimeters.
I think, chances are it might be a little bit slimmer, but I don't really expect it to be that much slimmer, because you start to run into some problems with durability. We all remember the iPhone 6 Plus fiasco with the first folding Apple iPhone.
the original foldable iPhone.
Yeah. So Apple needs to really, they've shown that they can do this with the iPad Pro, which is super slim and still quite durable.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bend in any way that is dangerous. So definitely that's possible. But let's see, I would expect somewhere around 6 millimeters for the iPhone Slim. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be slimmer than that?
I'm not really sure. Now, it's got to be a meaningful difference. Otherwise, why create that product at all?
Right.
If it's just a tiny difference between and you got to be able to see it with your naked eye.
Yeah, but you're comparing it against the
iPhone 16 Pro.
Yeah.
Like the iPhone 16 Pro, which is not a thick phone, but if they are gonna make it slim version, it's got to be about, I would say, at least about maybe 6 millimeters in the profile, not more than that. We already know they are gonna compromise with the camera.
Yeah.
You cannot make it otherwise, right? No, something's got to go.
Right.
And that's some of the camera equipment in there.
But the big news for me is this latest rumor that this iPhone Slim Edition is actually not gonna cost an arm and a leg. So previously, everyone claimed, or the few rumors claimed, that this new iPhone Slim is gonna be so exciting that it's gonna cost more than an iPhone Pro. Yet it's still gonna have a compromised camera and possibly some other compromises.
Yeah.
Which didn't make any sense. And now finally this is straightened out, and we're hearing from the Wall Street Journal, none other, that the price is gonna be less than an iPhone Pro. So possibly in that iPhone Plus range of about $900, which makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Which many people would buy that device, I think, even with a slightly compromised camera.
Yeah, because previous rumors were like, that's going to be a design-centric release, a more luxurious premium type of product. Yeah, but those people want like the best. They're all using like the Pro Max phones, all the best cameras. They're not gonna sacrifice that just to get a slim iPhone. So a premium price tag on that one didn't make too much sense.
Right. Yeah.
But here's the thing now. So thinnest iPhone ever, the 6 at 6.9 millimeters. iPhone Air, possibly the new slimmest phone, possibly around 6 millimeters. Current foldable phones,
Okay.
Huawei Mate X6. When you unfold that bad boy, is 4.6 millimeters.
Yeah.
When you unfold it, Huawei Mate XT, which we know is the tri-foldable phone, the one and only so far. When you unfold this one, is 3.6 millimeters. It almost feels like we're talking about some sports cars out there and 0 to 60 speed, but that is insane, you know. 3.6 millimeters profile when you unfold it. Now, I guess it's easier to make a trifold phone thinner because you have more space to spread around different components.
Exactly, yeah.
But again, the dual foldable one, the most current version, Mate X6, 4.6 millimeters of thickness when you unfold it. So
Yeah, definitely. Those are very impressive numbers that I don't think that Apple is going to reach those super slim numbers. But I guess that's just the limitation of just what you want to put inside that phone, right? And with the foldable phone, you kind of have that extra rigidity when you fold it twice of these two frames. They kind of hold it together. I think that's a really important point that I want to make it once again. So this is important. This phone is durable, right? So I think it's going to be a slightly higher number, as you mentioned, but it's a really curious fact that foldable phones right now, they're actually slimmer than the upcoming iPhone Slim, right?
Yeah, when you unfold them, and again, dual foldable phones, you can spread maybe the components a little bit inside, so it makes it possible. But if you have, Apple needs the iPhone Slim, is what I'm saying, because it needs to go as slim as possible. Learn how to do that without the phone being, accidentally foldable, and then translate that technology to a real foldable phone. But then, it probably, none of that matters if the first foldable iPhone is going to be a flip style. So
yeah.
I don't know how much of that applies.
Right.
Yeah, so let's see what else we have about the Apple's foldable iPhones. Obviously, Apple is working on these products because the company is extremely big. It's probably the biggest tech company right now. Maybe not in terms of headcount, but one of the biggest. It needs to grow to keep everyone happy in there. It's a lot of people to keep happy. Investors, stakeholders, everybody. And so it desperately, I would say, needs this new growth opportunity, and it's searching for that. And so that is why we are hearing now that internally, Apple execs, so people at the top of the company, are very much pushing everybody, the whole company, the engineers, the designers, everyone, people, in charge of all the strategic decisions and so on. Please, guys, please, we beg you, stop with the small, minor, yearly iterative updates and upgrades. Some of those are cool, but they're not enough. They're fine for like the last couple of years. Keep the fire burning, but they're obviously the big change, the big leap is not going to come from yet another camera, AI. It doesn't seem so. No. With this strange rollout of Apple Intelligence, with the problems with the EU, and even then, people don't seem so, breathtakingly inspired by Apple Intelligence. So that's not it.
Not right now,
Yeah, and they're going back to hardware innovation. The latest big cycles were, maybe we can count the iPhone 12 to an extent. I remember that as a fairly big one. They changed the design from the rounded one to the flat frame.
Flat sides, yeah.
Yeah. Before that, the second biggest probably was the iPhone 10.
Yeah.
The radical change in what the iPhone is. And before that, probably the biggest leap in iPhone super cycles, the iPhone 6.
No, definitely the 6 and the 6 Plus.
The big screens.
Mostly the big screens from the 6 Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, screens cannot go any bigger with this current form factors, and they're looking desperately for the next big thing. Turns out it's not the Vision Pro.
At least not yet.
Not yet. Not for the the next 5 years. So, and I said it, months ago. It's gotta be the foldable iPhone. That's the perfect opportunity for Apple. Familiar enough to the current bestseller, like 50% of the company is the iPhone.
Right. Yeah.
So again, here is a new iPhone, but it folds. It's so much cooler and way more expensive. Apple needs that. That's the reality of it. Apple either needs a lot more sales or the same rate of sales at higher prices. The foldable iPhone is the only option it's got.
And after the foldable iPhone is the trifold iPhone.
And after, that's going to be
That's the possible evolution. I agree with you. That's a good way to increase sales, possibly boost profits. But it's a gamble, of course. We're going to see, and Apple is not really in a rush to make that gamble. So, in summary, the foldable iPhone still out expected in 2026, the earliest. 2027 is kind of more likely.
Yeah, but and that is like a new thing that we are learning right now, right? That before that we expected it at least a few years down the line.
We didn't know, yeah.
And now all of a sudden, these guys in there are pushing for no, we cannot wait like 5 years to get the iPhone Fold right.
Yeah.
We need it now.
Right, yeah.
Okay, 2026. Depends on how much in a rush they are. But yeah, as you say, they're maybe not, scattering mindlessly to rush that thing out the door. But on the other hand, why? Because the foldable market everybody has foldable phones. Google, Samsung, all the Chinese competitors, everybody has foldable iPhones. Still foldable phones, but foldable phones are still expected to be about 1.5% of the market this year.
That's a tiny percentage, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the market has been conquered by the other players out there. On the other hand, Apple has like the internal pressure for the next big thing. And it's because, otherwise, who knows what's going to happen to the stock price?
Yeah.
After another year of iteration on the same thing. Not everybody's going to be happy. Investors, stakeholders, internally, Apple employees, whoever, customers. Little by little, they might say, I want to try something different. Here's a Pixel Fold something.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I'm just really surprised that it seems that Apple is only working on a flip iPhone. Because for me that is not the design I would use personally. If I would switch to a foldable phone, it would be a book style foldable. You get the larger screen. It's just seems a bit more fun to me, but I can definitely see the point in a flip phone. They are cheaper to make, and that is a big reason why they're kind of popular a little bit. More so than foldable phones, which are just so expensive. They're close to $2,000 because of that extra cost of manufacturing. So from a practical standpoint, that makes perfect sense, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It is like the way more, it's markedly less exciting to have a flip iPhone rather than a fold iPhone. At the same time, it feels so much safer for Apple to first do this before it jumps on the foldable thing, on the fold style foldables. But I just, and maybe for the vast majority of Apple user base, it also makes more sense that they first go for the flip. Because, definitely not everyone in Apple's user base is like a power user who wants the
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
the book style fold.
Yeah.
most of it is just normal consumers, and they don't care. So if they can have just a slightly bigger display, way more compact form factor,
Yeah,
sounds great. Yeah, at the same time, they probably cannot sell it too expensive because it's, it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you have anything else on this decidedly exciting topic?
Yeah, I think we have covered it well. We have the foldable iPad, we have the fold iPhone, which is gonna be a flip iPhone actually, and then we also have the slim iPhone, which is gonna arrive sooner than all of these futuristic products, and it's also gonna be exciting.
Yeah.
So that's a quick overview of the foldable Apple plans and slim Apple plans and new hardware Apple plans. Yeah.
Yeah, for the next maybe at least 2 years and more. Very exciting stuff. I cannot wait. Generally, I cannot wait for the foldable iPhones and iPads and whatever it is. That 18.8 foldable thing sounds mind-boggling.
It's going to be really interesting to see.
It's going to be so different.
Yeah.
So different. Very interesting stuff. All right, so that was a quick overview, guys, of what we're expecting right now of the foldable iPhone, the foldable iPad. Fingers crossed they're going to happen sooner rather than later. Fingers crossed that there are not going to be any delays in the production of these products because they genuinely sound very exciting and different.
Yeah, yeah.
Enough with the current status quo. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching.